Call to order, council meeting for Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. If we could start with the invocation,
Sure.
as always.
Father, me. Lord, thanks once again for the wonderful community that we live in. Thank you for what you have provided for us and guided us to do. We thank you for the weather and the rain that you finally bestowed upon us to watch our grass and flowers grow again. We ask that you watch over our council tonight and make them and help them make sound and right decisions. We ask that you watch over our citizens, as always, and put your healing hands on those that are ill. We ask that you watch over our staff and our first responders and everybody that makes the city as great as it is. And we do all we do in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, you do the roll call?
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Detman.
Present.
Lawrence.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Ivy.
Here. At this point, if anyone in the audience has some business that they would like to bring in front of the council, other than what you're going to comment on, what we probably have on the agenda. And I also would like to mention, we have a lot of people here with interest in some item on this agenda, I will guess. And if you come up to speak, if 2 or 3 people have been ahead of you and said the same thing you're going to say, you can give them an amen from the audience or something. But otherwise, we'll have to keep some of the discussion limited, or else we'll all be asleep up here. So it's going to go a long way. So if you would, please adhere to that, if you would. Next is the mayor's report.
I've got just a couple things, and the guy in the orange shirt, if you don't mind standing up, please. Dan Andrews. Stand up, and this is Dan Andrews. We had a Heartland Try this weekend, 2 full days of try, about a year worth of work, but I want to congratulate Dan, and he's got a lot of his crew here with him. It was a cool event again. I'm telling you what, it was the people you talk to, and I'm thinking 90% are from out of town that were in the race. 98% are from out of town. It's a good economic generator for us. It brings people from all over. It showcases what Sebring is, and from the athlete standpoint, they really like this course. They like the city. They like the volunteers. We had, I bet you, over 200 volunteers down there. So it's a great event. It was really almost brought tears to my eyes. We had a disadvantaged individual that ran in that race, a handicapped individual, and had Down syndrome, and he came in last, running down the hill. If you ever see him come down center, the whole group, there was probably 250 people came from down the hill where their camps and tents were set up, came up to cheer this kid on. And I'm telling you what, it was so special, and it just dang near brought tears to my eyes. So it was but right. Thanks, Dan, and everybody that helped out. Brian, you guys did an excellent job. Jeff, it's a super event. All these events that we're bringing into town, that they're bringing in, the people are coming in to view us, to see how great a city we have, and we've got a great city, and we appreciate that. So.
And we couldn't do it without the city support. I mean, absolutely 100%.
Good.
Impossible if we did not have the support of the city.
Highlands County, City of Sebring. I mean, there was support from all over, so it was really good. Second thing I got, July 4th is coming up. We are going to have a fireworks, so you all be prepared. At dark on the 4th is when the fireworks are going to go off right in front of the Civic Center. So you all are welcome. If you'd like to donate and support it, let us know. We'll take your money and put on a bigger show.
Some more of your money.
But we appreciate it, so it'll be a good event. So, but that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, any concerns, comments, or liaison reports?
Just a lot of good feedback once again. Spoke to a couple of the participants, some of the county workers that were doing the MOT, deputy sheriffs, and some Sebring PD officers, and nothing but positive feedback. Great job.
Good, Dan.
Yes, as a liaison to the CRA, I just want to remind everybody, the City Council and the CRA is having a joint meeting on the 17th at 5:30 p.m. over at the Stroop Civic Center. to discuss the waterfront project. So if you would like to partake in that, please come on over. Let us know what you think, good or bad, and we're going to try to move forward with some stuff there. So thank you.
Okay.
I'm
George, you're good. I'm glad that.
Yes.
So Lawrence?
Just ditto to what the mayor said, and we appreciate all the hard work that people put out and bring finances to our city and to our county, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
I've got one other event. I apologize. Ada McGowan is in the back. Juneteenth is this weekend. Starts at 11 o'clock on MLK Boulevard, correct, Ada? Book it, yep. So y'all are invited down 11 o'clock. It's support of Black history. So Ada does a good job. She's only been doing it for like 87 years, I think. But it's a really neat event, and you're going to learn a lot of history, and they're bringing more of the history into the event this year. So Ada's doing a good job. So 11 o'clock till 4? 11 to 2, okay. But you all are invited to that.
Okay, next item is the consent agenda. Any,
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as proposed.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Carl,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes. Old business. All right, property at 3524 Curry Street. Mrs. Fernandez and Ms. Perry.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
See
Good
you.
evening.
Hi, good evening. Here we are, well, I am new, she's been here a while. Okay, so the reason why we're here today is because we, especially me, I'm a real estate agent, and I've kind of wanted to understand a little bit the reasons why that is not a road on Curry Street. Took a few pictures of other roads that they do have a city, certificate of occupancy. Do you wanna move them around? And they are on a dirt road.
Doesn't sound like it.
So why Curry Street cannot have the certificate of occupancy? We're trying to sell the property, that's another issue. And then whenever they call to the city's telling them that it's gonna cost them $300,000 or $400,000 to build a 650-foot of road, when we got an estimate for 45,000. So, I wanted to see if maybe you guys will consider do like a CDD per lot. At the end of the day, the homeowner's gonna be paying, you guys are gonna be making money out of it. As of right now, tax-wise, you're not making much money out of each lot. If you let it be built, you're gonna make more revenue to the city, taxes are gonna go up, and then pretty much it's a win-win for everybody. So, yeah. Another picture of that. So, that's the part that I kinda wanna understand, like how come there's not a road that is being permitted to be built?
All right. Scott, do you have any, staff have anything to comment on this?
I don't think that there's not a road that's permitted to be built, that's not the issue, is there wasn't a road built, for the neighborhood.
Correct, but then, like I said, that's the picture, there are other neighborhoods that don't have a road built either, and they have a certificate of occupancy, so why can this properties not have one?
I don't know about every road in there, some of those are in the county. I don't know whether the county currently will allow you at this point. They used to allow for roads to be dirt roads, if you will. I'm not sure if that's still the case. Any roads that get constructed in the city limits have to be constructed to city standards, so it supports the weight of all of our emergency vehicles, our garbage trucks, those types of items.
Okay, so, and how about regarding to do as a CDD, you guys will pay up front for the road, but at the end of the day, you guys will get that money back.
So I think that some other property owners have expressed that they don't want to do that for this particular street. I don't wanna speak for all of them, but I think we got some, early on, we got some information back or feedback from those property owners that they weren't interested in participating in a CDD. So that's essentially why at the time.
So this is
The
something that has
city,
been brought up to the.
excuse me, but the city did take steps to send a letter out, and the majority of the property is owned by just a couple of people. And they pretty much refused to participate in it, so.
Okay. So, let's say that I can get everybody together and do the CDD. So, that cannot be done, what else can be done for this road to be built?
The road can be built, it's a question of who pays for it.
And our numbers were substantially higher than yours. If I'm not mistaken, it was over $100,000.
$145.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, they kinda give it to me kinda late, but I do have an estimate for 45,000.
Well,
it's
that's
gotta hit standards.
probably not to the standards that the city would require, because the number we got was substantially more than that.
More than double of that.
You've also got to provide swift mud retention when you put in that road. And so that may not have been factored in by whomever gave you the 45 number.
Okay. So, but at the end of the day, you guys will make more money when you build the road. If you build the road, the certificate of occupancy can be issued, and then you guys will charge more taxes for those properties that will be built. I have, no joke, anywhere between 50 to 60 calls a day for that property. And they want to build in the other lots. But without certificate of occupancy, there's nothing we can do. So it's like, it's money that you guys are leaving on the table for the city because you would charge more money in taxes. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it'll be more to your advantage to build the road and let those lots be built. And actually, there's 4 properties there right now, 2 which people live there, believe it or not. So you have people that they're not supposed to be living in there and they are. So at the end of the day, I believe that you guys would make more money for the city being that road being built. Because right now, taxes are between $22 and $187, and that is not even $1,000 a year that you guys are making.
Right.
Easily, you guys can make out of each property, what, $700-900 at least per unit, if you let it be built.
The last time the city analyzed the value, the increase in value once the road was put in was marginal compared to the cost of putting it in. So the city wouldn't recover its money for many, many years.
That was before, but right now we're having a big
Right,
boom.
it's definitely a different market today.
Yeah, right now properties are not lasting in the market, and it's like people are moving from up north down to here.
That's true.
So I believe that will be a little, your return will be a lot faster this time around.
Are the other people willing to sell their lots? Have you communicated with them?
So,
Or the-
yes.
The other couple of people that own most of it,
So yes, there's one guy that has 9 lots.
right?
And under one parcel, and he's willing to sell. And then this other guy that have the 3 properties that he's also willing to sell. So if we can acquire those 9 lots plus those 3 plus the one that we already have, I mean, I think we can do something with that, but we really need that road to be built.
If I can make a suggestion, I think we've kind of been over this like 4 or 5, 6 times even. The city has agreed to participate if we could find a way to fund a total package, running the water and the sewer down there, and we talked about this in the past, but if you have, and nobody wanted to participate in improving that road
Yeah.
to the extent that we needed them, but if you can put together that group that does that and come back with some hard and fast numbers to say, these are the lots we can do, this is what we think it's gonna be, I think the city would reconsider it, because we considered it the first time, and the city actually participated in sending out letters to try to get it done, but nobody wanted to participate. But if you can come back and have that in hand, I'm pretty sure that we would consider looking at it again like we did before and try to get it done. But it's been the stumbling block that nobody wants to do it out there, so.
So if we can get the majority of the properties.
Correct.
Is that something that you guys will go for?
We could look at it, yes. And that's what we tried before, but nobody wanted it, you know? I think there was one had 9 and the other one had 4,
Three.
three lots.
Three,
And,
which unfortunately somebody is living in, out of the 5 properties, there's people living on 2.
Right. No, I'm just talking about the
The
vacant
vacant
lots.
lots.
The
Okay,
vacant.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's got 9, it's under
Right.
one parcel, but it's 9 lots.
Right.
Obviously, the person who owns 9 should be the target of where, getting them to agree. He hasn't been
No,
very
we-
agreeable.
We want to acquire it, but we don't wanna acquire something that is just gonna sit and no road's gonna be built, you know?
I got you,
So,
yeah.
that's why, if that is something that we can acquire, those 9 lots, plus what we have, and maybe try to get the other 3, now we have the majority, is that something that the city will consider?
Yes.
Yes, bring that back, yeah.
Okay.
Uno compra toda esa propiedad en sumarían toda esa cantidad de dinero al que esté con aceptación a hacerlo, o ahí sí obligarían al que tenga 1 o 2 propiedades a pagar. Sí, pero todo el dinero a los lotes que yo tendría, o sí obligarían a la gente a pagar al que tenga.
So her question is if, let's say that she does acquire the rest of the lots and the properties, will it still be distributed within the other lots as well, the one that we don't acquire, or just the money will be only divided by everything that we will own?
It's,
Well, I think if you had a majority, it would be,
Yeah.
probably have to disperse it among all of them.
Yeah.
But that would have to happen.
Okay.
You can-
You have some kind of way that in the future, this person that only have land, make a construction, because go be benefit with the street. They can return me back the money that I pay for their part.
We can't get the funds that you purchased your house returned to you. That's not something that city council has the ability to do.
It's a civil issue.
You can get, if you wanna get with Scott and kinda get some of the specifics on it, and he can kinda help you out and lead
Yeah.
you a little bit on it, so.
Yeah, 'cause I was looking at you guys' budget, and as of right now, for transportation, physical environment, and economic environment, you have about $63 million available. So,
Well, that's the 3 million.
I'm not
Your
sure that
numbers don't lie.
available.
I
What are we all
think
doing
it's-
here?
that.
We're going off tonight, so.
Where's Penny? Show us that money.
Budget.
Show me the money.
Yes.
So I
Might
think
be looking
that-
at the county budget.
That may be the county budget, that's not
The
ours.
Highland, yeah.
Yeah.
Budget.
Yeah.
We would like to have that.
We have our auditors here, so if they're hiding something from us,
Yeah.
you let us know.
That's a surprise to our auditors, I think.
I would just get with Scott and he can give you kind
We
of the
need to
steps you
talk
need
to
to
Penny.
take. And then
And then
come
in the
back.
meanwhile, I would truly appreciate, I guess, Scott, that whenever people call, they don't tell them that it's gonna cost them $300,000-$400,000 to build the road, when we don't know.
You have to talk to staff, so.
Yeah, we exactly, we don't know how much it's not gonna build, because I have had people that, they even said they would build the road, but when they call the city's telling them, yeah, $300,000-$400,000 to build 650 feet of road, that is so inaccurate. And it's just wrong information, so it's also preventing, because, you know, it's not fair for her, she's having that property for 2 years sitting there
We know.
for nothing, you know, and then you
And
guys.
I don't want to sell it because it's a pretty city, but they don't bring me any other option of
Yeah.
the neighbors too.
Well, if you would get with staff, and especially if they're saying 300,000 or 400,000.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's,
yeah,
I call him.
I think we can correct that.
You're not a developer, you don't know that
Yeah.
information, so stop doing that. But I will appreciate it.
When asked, the city needs to explain what information
Yeah.
it has to people who are
Yeah.
doing due diligence about whether to purchase those homes. If they don't wanna
Exactly.
not explain something like that and then have a
Yeah.
claim that they should have told them when they called.
Exactly, no,
Yeah,
we
because-
told them,
yeah,
we
the
told
client
them,
know that it's no
it doesn't have a
certificate.
certificate of occupancy because of the road, that is displayed on the MLS, and that is displayed, that we told them. But then when they call the city's telling them, yeah, it's gonna cost them this much, and I
Who
don't
in
think.
the-
Do we know who you spoke with in the city so we can correct that if it is a city staff
Yeah,
member?
I called and I told this guy, but
What's
after
his
that,
name?
Who?
Was it Scott? No.
No, Scott said
No,
right
it's
there.
the- it's the-
Fess up,
no,
Scott.
It's the person that answers
Answers
the
the
phone.
phone.
So I don't
Not
know
here,
who
we
he
have
is.
a
It's
lady
man.
that answers the phone.
No, it's a guy.
It's a guy.
Not
and
here.
he always
We
answers
have a
the phone,
lady.
And I tell him
You
why
sure you're-
why you bring this information information if you don't have that on your
Okay.
hand, you don't
Bill?
have any, you know,
Yeah, I think we can get that squared away
get
if
that.
you just
We'll make
talk
sure
to
that
the city
that's corrected
administrator.
For sure.
Because the most correct is say, okay,
Yeah.
this is no certificate of occupancy, please
Yeah.
call a company and asking for a quote for make the, you know,
Sure.
the street. That is the correct answer.
Sure, and then make sure that you're calling the city and not the county, because for example, when you gave that figure before, that was county figure, had nothing to do with the city, so we gotta make sure our ducks in a row and you can do the same thing so that we can all be on the same page. And keep in mind, we have been willing to work with you all along, but we have to have, it's gotta be a partnership.
You know, when you call somewhere, you really need to ask the
Yeah.
name
Who
you're
am I
talking
speaking
to.
to?
That way you can refer back to them, okay? Thank you.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to find that and let you know who is the guy.
We'll get him. Okay, is there any comment from the audience, public comment on this issue? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item 10A, audit financial statements for the city.
We want to know where the
63 million, you
is.
show us.
Yeah, Penny, you've been holding out on us.
No, I promise you I haven't. I'm Penny Robinson, and I would like to welcome and introduce our auditors with CLA, Clifton Larson Allen, Ms. Julie Fowler, and Ms. Sarah Timmons. And they're going to present the audit information to you. And you should have the audited financial statements in your packet.
Good evening, I'm Julie Fowler, I'm a signing director with CLA, and with me tonight is Sarah Timmons, she's a director. We're both located here in our Sebring location, and so we're very excited to be the auditors for the city. We're going to present to you tonight the audited financial statements for the year ending September 30th, 2020. We're going to present this at a very summarized level because we know you don't want us to go through a 120-page document page by page. So it is going to be the highlights. If you have questions and want us to dive a little deeper, we can certainly do that. So Sarah's going to start out with the financial overview, and then I'll wrap it up with the summary of our reports.
Thank you, Julie. Nice to see everyone tonight. So, can you move to the next slide, please? Key highlights. Thank you. We just wanted to point out a few key highlights that we came across during our audit. First would be capital projects. There were water and sewer line extensions and improvements done throughout the year. There was a fire engine, garbage truck, and other city vehicles that were purchased, and a software implementation in the finance department.
Yes,
And
Mayor.
I know that was a lot of work for the finance department, and we are very grateful for their help this year in getting through that with new auditors and new software. Also were some economic indicators we wanted to point out. There's approximately a 1.9% increase in property values and a stable millage rate during the year. The city invests most of its free cash in Florida Prime, and there was a significant decrease in those Florida Prime rates this year that we noticed. However, pension investments showed continued growth, so that was good to see. Sales and fuel taxes and state revenue sharing were not significantly impacted by the COVID-19 shutdown, so those revenues remained pretty stable. On the next page, we have a condensed statement of net position, and this is for the city as a whole. It's your governmental funds, your enterprise funds, all combined. We had current and other assets of approximately 26 million. That's mostly in cash and cash equivalents of 24 million. Capital assets totaled 51.7 million. Deferred outflows were 6.8 million, and those relate to pension and OPEB valuations and deferred amounts on bond refundings. Your liabilities and deferred inflows totaled 29.3 million. There's approximately 1.5 million in accounts payable at September 30th, 2.1 million in customer deposits for utilities. You've had long-term debt, compensated absences, and landfill closure liabilities totaling approximately 8 million. And then deferred inflows were related to the pension valuation. Those were about 150,000. That left you with a total net position of approximately 55.6 million. $44 million is invested in capital assets, $3.9 million is restricted, and $7.5 million would be unrestricted net position. And that was an overall decrease in net position of approximately $383,000. Next, we have a pie chart of your fund balance for the general fund. General fund balance totaled $7.5 million, and of that, approximately $5 million is unassigned, and that represents 68.1% of your total general fund balance. And overall, it was a decrease of $1.7 million. Next, we have a graphic of your unassigned fund balance policy. So it's the city's policy to maintain at least 3 months of regular annual general fund expenditures within general fund's unassigned fund balance. So the blue represents that 3-month requirement, and that was approximately $2.86 million this year, and your actual unassigned exceeded that and was $5 million. So you had just over approximately 5 months of expenditures in unassigned fund balance.
So you consider that to be a pretty healthy fund balance then?
Yes.
Great.
Next is the enterprise funds, and this is a condensed statement, and it includes utilities, solid waste, and the golf course. So you had an operating income of $2.2 million. Operating revenues increased approximately $230,000, and operating expenses decreased approximately $150,000. So that tells us that you guys remained pretty healthy through the pandemic, and your enterprise funds were not significantly affected. There were non-operating revenues and expenses that netted out to $189,000, and there were net transfers out of $560,000. And you ended the year with $37 million in net position. So your utilities fund, broken out by fund, utilities had a net position of $2.3 million, or an increase of net position of 2.3, sorry. Solid waste decreased $427,000 in net position, and that's after $500,000 of transfers out to the general fund. And then the golf course net position decreased approximately $60,000, and that's after $167,000 of transfers in. And then next we have a graphic of your working capital trends for solid waste and utilities funds. The orange would be your solid waste fund, and we at 9/30 had working capital percentage of 64.87% in solid waste, and utilities fund was 38.51%. And that calculation is your current assets, excluding inventory and intangible assets, minus current unrestricted liabilities, and then that's taken as a percentage of your subsequent year budgeted expenses.
Any questions on the numbers before we move on? Okay, so I'm going to hit the highlights of our reports. The purpose of an audit is for the auditors to express an opinion on whether the financial statements are prepared in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. Our audit was performed under government auditing standards, and we also performed an examination of your compliance with certain Florida statutes. The reports that we issue at the conclusion are an independent auditor's report on the financial statements themselves, and we've issued an unmodified, or you might consider that a clean audit opinion on the financial statements. Under government auditing standards, we issue a report that would identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in the internal control structure or any material instances of non-compliance. We did identify one material weakness in internal control this year. It's related to an accounting treatment on the way, it's called derived tax revenues. That's things like sales tax and fuel tax, where the revenue that the city earns is based off of a transaction that a consumer participates in. And the standards, the accounting standards tell you when you need to record that revenue. This was a standard that was implemented many years ago, and over time it's become material to the city. So our recommendation was to go ahead and get that corrected, and that resulted in this one finding in the current year. Other good news is that there were no instances of non-compliance in accordance with laws, regulations, statutes, anything like that. And as far as our examination, we believe that the city has complied in all material respects with the statute on investment of public funds. The final slide is a summary of our required communication to you as the city council, the group charged with governance of the city. We did not encounter any difficulties performing our audit. As a matter of fact, management was wonderful to work with, the entire staff was. We appreciate them very much. Any audit adjustments that we identified during the course of the audit, we have discussed with management, and those have been corrected. They have provided us with a management representation letter, which says, to the best of their knowledge and belief, they have provided us with all the information that we would need to perform the audit. And we are not aware of any consultations that the city might have had with other accountants or auditors about auditing matters. So overall, the summary is the audit went very well. This was a challenging year with a change of software and change in auditors, but we think it went very well, and we appreciate it very much, the opportunity to be your auditors. So, any other questions?
Any questions from the audience? Comments, questions? Okay.
You have one out there.
Where? Oh, didn't see that hand. Okay.
You have to.
Gotta come up.
So if you could give us a grade, what grade might that be?
Warned you.
Well,
A grade on your financial condition or a grade on your
yes,
staff?
both.
Okay. Your staff is an A+. So they were
Great.
wonderful to work with.
Right.
It was challenging, definitely, just the learning how to get all the things we needed out of the software this year. The financial health of the city is very good. We do perform a financial condition assessment that's required as part of a Florida government audit. Because of some things that have happened in the past, like hurricanes, overall, the rating, we have 3 choices: favorable, unfavorable, inconclusive. It came out as inconclusive, but when we look at the individual factors that make that up, there's nothing that causes us concern. So overall, we'd say the city is in very good financial health.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Hi. Just,
Name, please, and,
my
yeah.
name is Andy Hammett. Been here since 1998. Lake Placid High School art teacher for 14 years, and I resigned because of lots of different reasons. Anyway, I just real quick, just for myself and maybe everyone else, I'd like to see maybe if you might give us some examples, please, of can we learn a little bit more about what is deferred inflow and what is deferred outflow? And, could you, fill us in on what's going on with all that? Because you sure can't read about it in the paper. Can't put anything in the paper. They won't take any comments unless it's positive towards the businesses. So, relying on y'all to come up with something with that. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to try not to teach an intermediate accounting class here, but deferred inflows and deferred outflows are elements of a government's financial statements that are not really assets or liabilities because they're not going to be converted into, I'll say, income of the city in the coming periods. So what you have is primarily things that are related to your pension valuations and your other post-employment benefit valuations. So that's a lot of actuarial stuff that I don't think you necessarily want me to get into at this time. I'd be happy to get into it if you want me to, but that's up to you.
I think you get an A. I'd like to make a motion, if I can, Mr. President.
Absolutely.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the audited financial statements for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2020, as presented.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Bedman.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
And if I could, I just want to say thank you very much to our staff
Excellent,
and our county department for the excellent jobs you guys have done and continue to do.
as always.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is 10B, Motosurf and Motoskate event. Joe Lamp.
Don't want to get trampled by the auditors. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So excited to be back here talking with you guys about another event we're bringing to town. We've been working with the tourism team with Casey Hart on bringing Motosurf and Motoskate to town. what is Moto Surf and Moto Skate? It sounds crazy, doesn't it? It's actually motorized surfboards and skateboards. It's the next wave of racing that we have been fortunate to bring in from Europe. They launched in the U.S. in 2019, in late 2019, and unfortunately we all know what happened with 2020. So they are now coming to Sebring to relaunch their tour from Moto Surf. And then with the motorized skateboards, this will be the first race in the U.S. that they've had under that. So if Scott would.
Sound.
Pretend there's some really cool music in the background.
Gonna bring the sound up.
There's no audio.
There it is.
Oh, is there?
That's over here. There it goes.
Motorized surfboards.
So as you can tell, it's a really cool event, something completely different, but it's a great opportunity for us to continue branding Sebring as a premier racing destination, not just for the 12-hour race, but for all things racing. What we've seen with the triathlons, how do we continue to bring more racing activities, and this is the next level of that from that standpoint. So any questions that you guys might have?
I'm assuming Lake Jackson would be the venue for the surfboards.
Yes, sir.
How
So
about-
it's a little surf and turf action at the Civic Center.
Okay.
We're gonna have the surfboard race out in Lake Jackson, and then the skateboard race is in the parking lot.
In parking
It's
lot.
not, and the bad thing is, we're all used to like racing being on huge racetracks. He needs a small area in the parking lot to do kind of a bigger version of a figure eight, and he'll have 2 to 3 racers at a time, and they kind of eliminate each other from that standpoint.
Okay. There's also a request, as you guys probably know, for a waiver of fee estimates. It's $1,750. That's the lowest I've seen in a while, so,
We tried to make this one painless.
yeah. The other one was painless.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kept the other one pretty low too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and going back to that, the jet ski race was a huge success. They were really excited about that. So we're excited to talk to them more about how we can make it a bigger weekend for next year.
Yeah, I saw it on the CBS at FS1. Or
Yes, sir. It's
I
been on
watched that.
CBS. And
It was
this,
good.
this one will also be televised on CBS as well.
How many
Yeah.
participants do you think are?
He's got 50 for the Moto Surf, and Moto Skate's got about 30 to 40. He's not sure yet. Part of it's visa issues getting into the country.
Okay.
95% of these participants are all international.
How fast do those surfboards go with that?
Like 30 miles an hour.
30?
Yeah, you won't catch me.
Leonardo will go on it.
Yeah.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, I was looking at them on the
Does it make noise?
internet. It was like 13 miles an hour. Like, wow.
These are souped up.
Souped up, yeah.
They're ready to rock and roll.
At 13, I'm going like, wow.
Next year it's gonna be 50 or 60 miles
60
an hour.
miles, yeah.
Yeah,
They'll
always-
figure
Just
that
don't
out.
put just don't put speed limit on the lake. We'll be in good shape.
Yeah, they just go faster and faster.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the event as presented, conditioned upon providing liability insurance of at least $1 million, naming the city as an additional insured.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any input from the audience?
That's as
Hearing none,
presented.
Madam Clerk?
Carl,
Yes, ma'am.
Discussion. Excuse me, I was trying to get.
Oh, you had discussion. Sorry, didn't see that.
I know it's not a lot of money, and I do have to ask this question because I do it with all of them now. Mr. Lamp, are you a for-profit or not-for-profit?
So our company is a for-profit. The group putting this on is a for-profit as well.
So they're both for-profits?
Yes,
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, and correct me, gentlemen, I think we did a 50% on that when we did the triathlon. of the city expenses. Am I not mistaken about that?
You did that, I think so.
I'd like to see council at least remain with that consistent. To be inconsistent, I think is not fair. So that's my position on that.
I'd just like to make a comment in
Because
regards.
actually, I think it was your motion.
your
on
motion.
The last one, which was the 50%, and now it's your motion again tonight.
Okay,
So-
well, there is a big difference to me on the profit and nonprofit. However, there's also a big difference on the continuing stuff and the new stuff. And this is a new event here, and so I have no problem doing 100% of the fees, and the fees are relatively small. But after a while, I do think that the for-profit events should start taking up most, if not all, of the expenses. But this is a first-time deal here, so I have no problem with it, and I'd like to leave my motion as I presented it.
Does anyone else want Mr. Detman's request to amend it?
Well, I'm not in agreement with that. I feel like if they're bringing tourism to Highlands County, whether they're profit or not for profit, they both benefit our community. So I'm in favor of this, regardless of it being a for-profit business.
All right, so I don't hear anyone comment from the audience. Real quick.
Hello, my name is Megan Tony. I would just like to know, what are the other entities already providing? I think the CRA is giving him a check as well as the county. How much other money is being given to him already?
Thank you.
So, the marketing grant from the TDC is $20,000, and that's designed for the TV production piece as well as the CRA. And so the CRA contributed $15,000, and they are getting a minute to 90 seconds of advertising built in, kind of a taste of the town built into the TV broadcast. The big piece that comes out of this, obviously, similar to what we did with the jet ski race. We have a live stream broadcast of the event, and then we'll have a 30-minute television show that takes the 2 to 3 days of action and condenses it into a 30-minute show that looks like it's live. They've really come a long way with the television packages on that. And so part of that is a 90-second taste of the town that highlights the downtown.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry. Ralph Flores. The jet skis were incredible. The only problem was there was no parking for the people who wanted to see the races. I think we need to make some arrangement with the mall and have some transportation to bring the people over to the area. I loved it because I was on the 50-yard line. It was perfect for me. Just charge admission. But now we need parking for the people to come and see, because a lot of local people are just driving back and forth and looking any place where they can park.
Well,
It'd be great if we could have some form of
this event's on this side of.
Right, this one, but I'm saying for next year on the jet
Right,
skis.
okay.
It would be something like, I don't have the solution, but I think some form of transportation for the mall or somewhere else to the area would be great. Thank you.
Your concern was mine when we started the race. And so, one of the things we've learned now is we're gonna work. If you give the racers kind of free rein, they're gonna take, I've got a trailer that should be 20, 25 feet, and I'm gonna take 40, 45 feet.
Mhm.
So one of the things we're working with them on for next year is making sure that their footprint is a lot tighter. There was way too much extra space in their parking area. Once they condense their parking area, that frees up space for us. That's the ultimate plan for us, is to make sure that we take care of the racers, but put it in a tighter frame, but then provide room for everybody else to come enjoy the race. It's pointless to do these races if we can't have fans come to them. And so that was a concern going into the race, and now that we've lived it once, we know that there's some things we can fix going forward with the promoter to make sure that doesn't happen again.
The racers like the area.
They loved it. It was a really good.
Okay, thank you.
It was a great event.
I think those are the comments, I think. So we have a motion and a
I'd
second.
still like to
Yep.
go on the record.
Yep. Okay.
Just to go on the record, so that everybody understands what my position is and why, I want to make sure council, Mr. Lamp especially, and our audience know that regardless of, You know, I mean, I'm a big supporter of all these events, trust me. So if I have to vote no tonight, it has nothing to do with the event, it has to do with the amount of funding in the partnership.
Sure.
I think regardless, if it's a for-profit organization, we should be consistent. That's the only reason I'm talking about this. Consistency. I don't care whether it's a new one or it's one that's been around for 15 years. But 50% should be the partnership. I don't think the taxpayers should bear the full burden of the city's expenses when you're a for-profit organization. So I will vote no tonight if it is not a 50%, and if I'm outvoted with that, that's fine. I absolutely congratulate you and give you the very best.
Thank you.
That's my position.
Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk?
I've already got Mr. Cardall's vote, unless you want to change your,
What?
you've already voted, are you still a yes for that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just making sure. Detman,
No.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Thanks, Joel.
We'll see y'all in a
Yep.
couple of weeks at the Civic Center.
Thank you.
All right, next item, we have 10C is the appeal of the CRA administrative decision of original protest statement for RFP 21-007 of Ms. Cynthia Hopkins. Welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen, for giving me my 5 minutes of glory. I will try to keep it really short. So, my name is Cynthia Hopkins. I represent Yeninar from Chicago. I feel it's my civic responsibility. to
Excuse me,
speak
but
in
could you
front-
speak up just a little or into the
Sure.
microphone?
I'm so congested these days. So I feel it's my civic responsibility to speak in front of this council. Not as an investor, I hope to present to the public some alarming observations and discerning facts regarding the RFP for the Roanoke building. At this point, this appeal is not about profit because we don't have a tangible plan to do business in Sebring in the near future. It's about government accountability and transparency. It's about law and order. As an immigrant from China, I can't sit on the sidelines and watch the greatest nation on earth to degenerate further into a corrupted communist tyranny. Frankly, this RFP is a sham process. Why? Because the CRA's recommendation makes no business sense. It failed to pass the basic scrutiny on the proposed financial structure. And please hear me out. The CRA rejected a good faith offer to renovate the Roanoke building. The offer committed over $600,000 in cash. It also projects to bring in, conservatively, $200,000 of tax revenue over 5 years, without asking for 1 penny of taxpayer subsidy. To the contrary of common sense, the CRA rewarded the RFP to a competing offer. That offer has a modest budget of $140,000, and there's no quantifiable projection of tax revenue to the community. As if that weren't enough, the CRA president negotiated in private with his favored proposer, promised to subsidize his project with the taxpayers' money. In his own words, the subsidy comes in the form of a forgivable loan, with the knowledge that this particular individual has 2 bankruptcies on record. Considering the CRA has invested over $400,000 to purchase and maintain this building, the decision recklessly exposes taxpayers to enormous credit risk. How should the public perceive such private dealing? Nepotism, collusion, or simply blatant wealth transfer from the working families to the well-connected elite? It is up to the Sebring residents to judge. Now, let's talk about the CRA's legal violations. I hope you all had the opportunity to thoroughly review the protest appeal statement. It details the hard facts and evidence to demonstrate the CRA's violations of a number of Florida statutes, specifically the Florida Sunshine Law the Uniform Special District Accountability Act, and the Community Redevelopment Law governing the property disposition process. I have provided the rationale as well as evidence of screenshots and pictures in the original protest submitted to the CRA on May 13th. I don't need to elaborate further in the interest of time. On a separate note, the CRA also violated a federal law, which I did not include in my protest because it does not directly pertain to this repeal. But I feel it is important to bring to the public's attention because it further illustrates the agency's lack of professional discipline. In this incident, the CRA violated the Federal Privacy Act by not redacting Mrs. Castle's social security number in a FOIA response. And just imagine the legal liability such negligence imposes on Sebring taxpayers. Ethics is not some leader's strong suit. Outside of this boardroom, the CRE president launched a smear campaign on our firm. He made irresponsible, unsubstantiated public remarks in a local newspaper. As recent as May 27th, Mr. Lytle was quoted in Highlands News Song by accusing our bid protest to be 90% lies and claimed we changed the proposal 3 times. On the same day, through another FOIA request, I asked for the CRA's analysis of the so-to-speak lies to support this accusation with examples of unfact, also known as lies. Not surprisingly, the CRE failed to provide the material. I'm more than happy to share the email communication with anyone who might be interested in learning more. So who is lying? Clearly, the CRA is incapable of distinguishing opinions from facts. Clearly, this agency failed to represent the taxpayer's best interest in every step of the process, but has no problem spending their money, loading up on debt. And clearly, this agency lacks the professional competency to effectively accomplish the great mission it was founded for. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I'll defer to our attorney at this point. If you have any comments, or would you want to save those till later?
I'm happy to comment.
There's a lot of accusations there. I mean, is it true?
The protest identifies a number of areas that the protesting Yan and Art believe were violations of the Sunshine Law, where a single board member talked to someone else. That is not a violation of the Florida Sunshine Law, ever.
Okay.
It's when 2 or more meet outside of a
Yeah, I
regularly
understand
public,
that,
a noticed meeting. The Federal Privacy Act does not apply to the city of Sebring. It applies to federal agencies. FOIA is the Freedom of Information Act. That does not apply to local governments. That's a federal law that applies to federal agencies.
How about other items?
What was your comment?
Can you?
Her question
Can you
was,
come
how
back?
about the other items? And
So, Mr. Swain, if I recall correctly, you also advised the CRA not to score and told them it's not necessary, correct?
that's right. 163-380 does not require scoring. The
That's
document
true.
that was advertised for the bid or for the proposals did have that as an item. You're correct.
So, the 163, section 163 actually clearly stated that the process should follow the purchasing process or whichever procedure prescribed by the city. And what was prescribed in the RFP package? Scoring,
You're right.
right? So,
we aren't
so the
purchasing
CRA
any. The
made
CRA
a
wasn't-
perfunctory meeting just to score. Is that correct? Do you agree that meeting was perfunctory?
No. The
Okay.
CRA,
So listen,
Ma'am,
I
if
did
you're
not
gonna-
know,
ma'am, if
I
you're
did
gonna
not
ask
know
me a
I'm
question,
here to
please let me
argue
answer
over
you.
a lawyer.
Come on, let's get some order here. Be
I
nice.
should have brought my own lawyer. It was not advised to me.
I'd be glad to answer, but sitting here getting into an arguing
Yeah.
match isn't gonna get us anywhere.
It's our position that none of these things were violated, that we've been,
This, the, I've now forgotten the name, there's the state statute that requires the agenda be posted on the website
yeah.
a certain number of days prior to the
7
meeting.
days.
That was not done.
Okay.
That has been corrected and will be done going forward.
All right.
That is required of all special districts in Florida.
So is that fair to say that we were excluded from the process?
How were you excluded from the process? if
Because
you
they
sub-
did not post the
Ma'am, if you-
agenda.
If you're going to ask me a question, give me a chance to answer. You had notice of all the meetings. You turned in a proposal. How were you excluded?
They did not follow the law, right?
But you turned in a proposal. You weren't omitted from the process. You didn't miss out on an opportunity.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
I think what you're presenting to this council is a technical violation that did not affect the substance of the proposal process.
In your opinion,
Yes, ma'am?
but not for someone from Chicago who has no access. Is that correct?
No.
So,
You have the same access. You talked to the CRA staff. You
no,
talked-
they refused to meet with us.
You had
I
two
have email
site
trail.
meetings with them.
What?
Didn't
Sorry?
your members have two separate site meetings with the CRA staff?
I don't know what you're talking about. Not until after the recommendation was issued by Mr. OSHA, right? On April 6th, okay, Mr. Bob Kettle sent a text message to Mr. Lido
Mhm.
asking if he's available to talk about the building. Did or did not Mr. Lido actually disclose the building's deficiencies, structural issue to Mr. Lido, to Mr. Kettle, right?
I have
Per
no idea.
law. Of course. Then I cannot win.
Okay.
If you don't want to address the fact, you did not look at my appeal statement.
I did.
Okay, did you see that text message, the screenshot of that text message?
I know
Did they talk or not?
I know they communicated, yes.
Okay.
The
Did you-
statute allows for negotiations.
Well, no, it was not true, because Mr. Lido disclosed building deficiencies to Mr. Castle in private, which by law, section 163, that such deficiencies need to be disclosed to all RFP participants.
I don't recall seeing that in your protest.
Please, I clearly put in my protest.
Where did you put it in?
I already provided all the rationale facts in my protest. And for anyone who's interested in seeing
I've
that,
got attachment E on this.
um,
Well, in the meantime, do we have any further comments from the council first?
Yes, Ms. Hopkins, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
In your presentation, your original presentation, it was very close to the end of it. I think your comment was, maybe you could read it for the record again, that it said something about the staff with the CRA was incompetent. Is that, could you read that again for me? It was right at the very end.
Sorry, I have to restart.
Go right ahead.
You want to look at the
Take your time.
protest, there's attachment E here, if you want to look at it. Should make it look.
And by the way, you think it's okay for the CRA to disclose someone's social security number? Because the law doesn't apply.
I didn't say that.
But you said it does not apply to the CRA.
Ma'am, you accused us of violating a number of laws that the city did not violate. You've come here to smear the
I
name.
did not come here to smear. I talked to lawyers too. Okay? So had I known I'm gonna confront a lawyer here, I would have brought my own lawyer.
I'm not sure how to respond to
Sorry.
that.
Sir, let me
That
just
probably
answer your
would have been a good
question.
idea,
Yeah.
but go ahead and see if you can respond to my question there. It was at the very end, it was either the second to the last sentence or the last sentence in your comments.
I said this agency lacks the professional competency to effectively accomplish the great mission
Okay.
it was founded for.
Okay, lacks the professional competency?
Yes.
Okay, well, here's my concern with that then. We've got a couple of options before us, one of which would be to grant the proposal and recommend that the CRA board start over. But if they lack, in your eyes, the professional competency to do that, then obviously that eliminates that particular option, and then the only other option left is to deny the protest. So I'm
It's
sitting
your
here and.
call. I'm here to present facts
I
to the
understand.
audience. right? I really have no interest.
But what you're saying is you're not.
You can do either, but it's up to Sebring taxpayers.
Let me finish.
to
So,
judge.
so are you comfortable with them starting all over again from square one?
It's not my call, and I will
No,
not.
yes, it is. I think that's very important.
Isn't that what you're requesting?
That is one of the things that I think was one of the options that you had proposed.
It's your vote. It's your decision.
But answer that question.
You make the judgment call as a councilman.
So that, I understand that, and we will be doing that. But if you feel that they lack the professional competency, would that take care of your concern that it can be rewound, start over, and it has to go through the CRA because there is no other
It's up to
agency?
the local government to remediate these risks, to
not gonna answer
remediate the weaknesses.
You're not gonna answer me then, huh?
Yeah. Not directly.
It's not my call, again.
Yeah.
I present facts. I'm here to inform the taxpayers.
I wanna make sure I say it again, so that if we have to go down a different pathway, that it is on the record, that you had stated that they lack the professional competency to accomplish this mission, correct? Or something to that effect.
That's correct.
Therefore, option number 2 that I see in front of me,
Yeah.
which says grant the protest and recommend the CRA board start over, same people,
That's fine.
with the proposed solicitation process for 209 Circle Park Drive. So without lacking their professional competency, you're good with that.
Sir, again,
You're not, you still
I
won't
don't
answer
have a
me.
vote. I don't have a vote in the process. It's up to this
I don't know how else to
council
answer,
make a decision.
ask the
Okay,
question.
you can
Hang-
stand on
what-
that. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not gonna answer my question.
All right, see?
Yeah, but
Alright,
You're
you
not doing
want me to
yourself,
say yes?
you're not doing yourself any good because, you know, there might be someone out here that would be prepared to make that motion, but,
If the people says yes, I will say yes. I hear yes loudly.
but you just got through saying that you're not, hang on a minute.
Okay, come on.
Okay.
Let's keep it up here. Keep it up
it's
here.
one at a time, folks, one at a
Okay.
time.
You'll have time to speak.
I have a question
I
for our
got
city
a
attorney.
statement. You stated that you was not interested in spending any money in Sebring, Florida. So if we said redo it, you're not coming.
I don't think so, sir.
Okay.
It's a moot point then.
Well, then,
So it's a moot point.
well, why don't you withdraw? Why don't you withdraw
Why
from?
should I withdraw? I think it's about the fact. Again, I say it's about fact. It's about whether the decision is in the best interest of taxpayers. Why should a government agency spend the taxpayers' money to subsidize a project, whereas the other alternative is doesn't cost taxpayers anything? Even if we
Right.
fail, the taxpayers still have a net gain of $200,000.
So then why would the government, who sits up here, wanna waste the taxpayers' dollars to rewind and restart and go through the whole thing when you have no intention of
If that-
participating anyhow?
If that's your argument, I respect.
Well, no, you said you really don't wanna make your investment anyhow, correct?
I think, let me put out, we don't feel comfortable. We feel like the obstacle
Okay.
is too big.
All right, we won't waste any of
All right.
each other's time.
Fair
anymore.
enough.
I'm done.
I have
Thank you.
I have a question for our city attorney, and that is, the things that they got away from following the exact letter of the law, is anything materially breached here? Any laws or
I think by virtue of the
procedures?
notice is not being posted properly is a problem.
Okay.
I mean, would you agree?
They should have been posted
Right.
pursuant to the statute. Yes, sir.
Would
So
you consider that a material breach?
If a proposer was not able to participate, didn't know when the deadline was, something like that, and their ability to propose was affected by it, absolutely.
But they
Not
did
when
present
they
their
did
proposal, so
present.
they weren't affected
So-
materially by that.
Yes, sir.
Theoretically, even though she still submitted, if it wasn't posted properly, she might have not have had the proper amount of time to prepare for submittal. So the posting is important. And the Social Security thing, which is the first I've heard of that. Did anybody else hear about that?
No, it was not, like I said, it was not included in my protest.
Okay,
because
'cause
it does
that's
not
certainly the first I've heard of that.
directly pertain
Okay.
To this appeal.
Yeah.
but I think it could be an issue.
Yeah, well, it certainly wasn't malicious. If it was done, I'm sure it was a mistake.
Because it did
I'm
not
gonna
fall
make-
into
I'm gonna make
malicious
a motion that we
person's
deny the
hands.
protest.
You've got members of the public
Yeah,
that may wish to
public.
Well,
speak.
the other side of that for discussion would be if she's telling us right in front of all of our witnesses here and our television audience that they're really not interested in participating, we could very easily go ahead and grant the protest and rewind, start it all over again, and if they don't put in for it, it goes back to where it would have been if we denied the protest. It's just that simple. It's a couple of weeks difference. You gotta have the postings and
Yeah.
all of that. And,
Would you feel safer if we did that, Bob?
well, we're
We're
in
discussing.
discussion yet. Okay, go ahead and get a second if you wanna do that.
So what's the motion?
To deny the protest.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay.
Now we go back into
Discussion.
You know, I actually asked the city attorney at the end of last city council meeting, right up here, and I said, what's the best way to proceed with this? And he said, well, the cleanest way, and I kinda like that, the cleanest way is to grant the protest and start all over with the proposal for the solicitation and be done with it. And if they don't participate, fine. So that will be my position.
And I agree with you.
All right, you have to withdraw your second.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you made a motion, I
No,
second
but
it.
he didn't make the motion, Charlie did.
Oh, I'm sorry, I disagree with you.
We can vote on that.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let's, we've got a motion, we got a second.
No, he's withdrawing his second.
He's, all right, give me a second on,
I did not withdraw the
It
first.
could die for a lack of second.
yeah,
So officially, you're withdrawing your you're withdrawing
I
the
guess
second
I have
motion.
to.
yeah.
Well, you don't have to, but.
See if we have a
All
second.
right, so we got a motion to approve the appeal, or move it forward, is that it?
To deny the protest.
Protest, deny the protest.
That was my motion, was to deny the protest, and I believe it no longer has the second.
Okay.
Or we can have the second if
Do-
you want,
do
and
we
vote
have a
on it,
second?
and then go from there.
Anybody seconding it? Hearing none, is there another motion?
I make a motion that we grant the protest and recommend the CRA board start over with the proposal solicitation process for 209 Circle Park Drive.
I agree. I
right.
second it.
Now, we got that part done.
Change your mind.
All right, do we have any comment from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
Starting all over again. This will be a good opportunity. My name is Nora Flores, and I am the owner of the building that's attached to the hips to that 209. And one of the things that I was comparing the two, if I'm wrong, please correct me, back there, CRA, the two venues. One of them is going to be Irish pub or drinking place, which we already have. I'm gonna have one in the corner, so that Commerce and the Circle's gonna be quite hot for all these drinkers. And I think one will actually be taken away from the business of the other one because they're just right in the same spot competing for the same business. So that, I think, it's already undermining the success of the first one. Also, they have daily rentals, hotel type rooms upstairs, which is what they have been told they're gonna do. These people will be here one day, 2 days, may not ever be back here, have no say in our circle, don't care what goes on in the circle, because they're just visitors. They also, most important, I don't know if you guys noticed, one of the few things that we have for teenagers here, and especially the middle schoolers when they come in, is that soda shop. I think, and we have parents that pick the kids up as late as 7:30. They stay there, they stay in our cafe, in the outdoor sitting and the indoor sitting, and they feel safe, and I think the parents feel safe. With the two drinking establishment, that kind of changes the area, for me, anyway, I don't know, as a parent. And I think that's something that we need to consider. They don't have that many places to go to. We need to keep the area safe. Now, versus the second one, which Ms. Cynthia was doing, is The upstairs, downstairs will be a steakhouse. Upstairs will be 5 apartments that we desperately need 2 bedrooms, brand new. Now these people will have a say of what goes on in the circle. They want to see restaurants, they want to see the drinking place, they want to see the bakery that the CRA wants to go ahead and establish in the circle. And they have an interest, as I do as a next door neighbor of the next door building. They have an interest of what goes in there. And again, are we going to become bars in the circle? That's not my vision of the circle. Now the building that they're also planning with a public bar upstairs, that I don't know what your vision of the circle is, but it's not definitely 3 or 4 or 5 drinking places where only the adults can go and not our family and children. We need something that the children can also enjoy the circle. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Dave? No, I'll get you next.
David Liddell, Chair of the Sebring CRA. We would like to express we do not want this to be put back out for rebid. We did not do anything wrong. We did not interfere with the process. The committee has met, reviewed the proposals that were submitted, and for very specific reasons, chose one project over the other. All of these projects work together. They're not independent of each other. Thursday night's a great opportunity to come hear about an opportunity for families and children and stuff like that. We're not turning the circle into a bar. The proposed restaurant is an Irish-style restaurant. And with the addition of the potential of 50 new units of apartments going down on North Ridgewood, the idea of having more apartments on the circle was not as necessary. We needed a boutique hotel concept was great because it's going to offer the opportunity for people who are visiting Sebring to have a place to stay. We want them in the downtown district. We want them frequenting our restaurants. So all of this is very carefully thought out, and the additional time that it will take, it's not weeks. I mean, we started this process back in February, I believe, so it takes months. And we're now working towards a clock to try to get this done in time for season of 2022 at this point. So I would just like to express that we would appreciate it if the recommendation was not to rebid it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, your hand up.
Evening. Can you hear me? All right. Tiffany Cadzo, owner of Faded Bistro and Beer Garden and Monster Wine Bar, and also entered a proposal for this particular building. I currently own and operate 2 successful businesses in downtown Sebring with my 2 female business partners. My husband Bob is the general manager of Faded Bistro and Beer Garden. This is our home. We live here. We spend every single day in downtown Sebring. We have been providing food, drinks, and entertainment to Sebring for over 20 years. Our formula is very simple. It's just hard work. We are literally at our businesses every day, operating them, owning them, waiting tables, making them happen. We're great employers. We have awesome employee retention. We have a very diverse staff. And we are creators of unique businesses. I think that anyone that's been to Faded or Monster could agree that they're not the type of thing that you find everywhere. And the same would be for this particular space. It will not just be another drinking place, another eating place. That's just simply not what we do. My 2 businesses are 2 blocks from each other. They're both successful. They are not competing for the same business, and this will not either. That being said, also, I don't know if anyone's been to an Irish pub in Ireland, but there's kids everywhere in Irish pubs. They are very family friendly. Beef O'Brady's, very family friendly. I feel that over time in our community that we have developed a following, and I feel very supported by our community, some of which are here tonight to support our project and us. as far as the boutique hotel goes, first of all, I just want to let everyone know that this building is very personal to me. I've looked at this building many, many times. I know a lot about this building, and it was actually supposed to be the home of my wine bar. That didn't work out with the landlord at the time, but I am familiar with the building and I am familiar with the space, and I do believe that the boutique hotel would be very valuable. One thing that I really love about that is that it would preserve the building. We're not talking about going in and tearing out the whole upstairs of a 1917 building that was built to be a hotel. We're talking about taking that back to its glory and preserving it. And that's why our project honestly does not cost $400,000 or $600,000. It costs $150,000. A boutique hotel would also increase consumerism. People that are coming to stay at a hotel for a few nights are going to eat out the entire time they're there. They are going to shop downtown. That's what they're there to do. Apartments, though I do agree that we do need housing downtown, I believe that there is a plan for that. Those people are not going to eat out every night. They're going to go home, buy their groceries, do what they're going to do. They're not shopping downtown every day. And for those reasons, I just think that the hotel is a great idea, and I think it would really do the building justice. And I really have love for this building. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Okay, next.
For the record, my name's Dan Andrews. I'm a lifelong resident of Sebring, business owner here in Sebring, and I own several properties here in Sebring. I would encourage you all not to give credence to the smear campaign that's been presented to you today. And I feel by voting for this, you are giving credence to it. And I feel that the CRA was not in violation of anything, especially the Sunshine Law. We all know how that works. Definitely not in violation of that. The 7-day argument, while I understand it, I don't think it prohibited them from participating in the process. I don't think it hindered them whatsoever in participating in the process. And I would just encourage you to reconsider your position and vote to not support their appeal.
Thank you. Next, and this gentleman, and then you.
Good evening, council members. My name's Jeff Carlson. I'm a local CPA. My office is 2 blocks from here. I live about a half a mile from here. I'm a lifelong resident like Dan. We own multiple commercial and residential properties in the city of Sebring. My house, like I said, a half a mile away. Lifelong residents. I remember skipping church. Don't tell my mom to go up to the cat house in the Roanoke building and have a cup of coffee and breakfast on occasion. So there's a lot of history there. I also would encourage you to reconsider giving credence to this, like Mr. Andrews said. I think the most important thing that Mr. Swain said in his summary was that the 2 applicants both had the same opportunities and were in communication with the CRA, and the notification, although maybe not meeting the 7-day requirement, didn't materially affect their ability to participate. They knew the deadlines, they submitted their application 1 or 3 times, I'm not sure, and they knew when the meetings were, and it didn't have a material impact on that. So I encourage you to please support local business owners, Tiffany and her partners, and allow them to get started on this project that I think downtown desperately needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman right here has been trying to say a few words.
Good evening. My name is Don Davies, and I own Sugar Sand Distillery, and we are the ones that are working on the 301 building. And give you all just a tiny bit of history. That proposal was due on a Friday afternoon. I did not even know the CRA existed. I didn't know Kristen or anybody from the CRA until that Monday afternoon before the proposal was due that Friday. I walked into the CRA, asked them, what is the deal on the building? They were very polite. They said, go online, you can look at the request for proposal. In 4 days, we had our proposal in. Lack of notice is not an issue. That's just a technicality. The CRA has done a very good job. They've worked very hard. We're from Lake Placid. I don't think anybody here particularly knows me. And we were treated well, no different than people from Chicago. And we did what we needed to do. We got it in. And now with what's going on, you're also holding up my project.
How is it holding up your project?
Because everything's there. The CRA is now extremely concerned, and they're splitting hairs and want to be sure everything's done exactly correctly since they're under such scrutiny now, and I think it's unnecessary. You know, we did it in 4 days. You know, a week's notice. Everybody else knew it. We were able to turn it very quickly without some official notice on the web.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
How much,
Gentleman back over here, I guess. As he's approaching, did you have something?
yeah, how much notice was actually given and what was required, technically?
I'm not sure. I'll have to defer to CRA. I'm not sure that the agendas were posted online.
So let her answer that question, then you can go.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. Christy Vasquez, CRA Executive Director. So I just want to make a point of clarification. What was in Ms. Hopkins' original protest was that the CRA agenda for the board meeting where this decision was going to be made was not done 7 days in advance. The notice for this opportunity and for this RFP was noticed correctly. The selection committee meetings are not required to be noticed, however they were. So I just wanted to make that clarification, that way you know that within the CRA's posting requirements, that's where the deficiency was. It has been addressed. It was not necessarily in terms of the RFP for this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, again, for clarification on that, the RFP was correctly noticed.
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay, just for the record, the RFP was correctly noticed.
Yes, sir. The RFP was correctly noticed, site visits were conducted. Everything that was required as part of the RFP process was done to the letter. What Ms. Hopkins' protest was, that is not what's being discussed right now.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And just for the benefit of the audience, the CRA has not made a decision on either proposal yet. It has not gone to the CRA board for their selection.
Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Bill Clay. I live here on Lakeview. My wife and I have 2 properties we pay taxes on. I'm an attorney, but I'm not really going to make legal points. I'm going to make a commonsensical point, and I appreciate everybody's comments. I do support the applicants, Bob and Tiffany Cadzo. I know their businesses. Everything Tiffany has told you is true. I think they're going to be a great draw for this community and have been already. People come back to their places. It's a destination. The goal of the CRA, as I understand it, and I've been to a lot of meetings and I support them completely, is to make this place a healthy destination. Healthy to me is important. That's family friendly, that's people friendly, that's entertainment friendly. I know Bob and Tiffany and their businesses have also done entertainment. I think entertainment, appropriate entertainment, is something the city wants to entertain the local people as well as visitors. But I think you can reduce this to something very commonsensical. No harm, no foul. No foul, no need to play the game a second time. It's a waste of time. It's fundamentally commonsensical. This is one place the law is commonsensical. The law doesn't require government to do things that are a waste of time, that is an exercise in futility. Why do it? This young lady, Ms. Hopkins, if she has an interest in investing in the city, which apparently she doesn't, but I would encourage you, if you do, look into supplying housing to the people who need it here. and I think the city would be open to your proposals. But in terms of the best fit for this city, for the residents and visitors, tax base increases, employment, et cetera, it's this proposal that's been approved or has got favorable reviews by an objective scoring system that both parties have been subjected to. But no harm, no foul, don't replay the game. Thank you.
Thank you. Has anyone got anything different position?
Can I just have a one post?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I think at the end of the day, it boils down to the taxpayer's best interest. My question to all the decision maker is that why? Why do you think it is sound business decision to splurge taxpayers' money to help a private individual to complete his project that he will benefit for, instead of choosing a credible business investment that has committed cash, that requires no subsidy from taxpayers? That is my simple question.
Thank you.
And what I have observed so far is the exact reason why I can't continue with my investment proposal with this town. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I've got a,
Mayor?
if you don't mind if I
No,
comment, I don't know if
comment.
the final
Comment.
comment or not, but
We need 'em.
I'm disappointed in a sense, because I've met several times with Cynthia and her partner, and they're very intelligent, very credible people. I'm disappointed from the standpoint that you will not consider investing in our community, or not looking at investing in our community. But however, that kind of brings to the point now, if the process was done properly, what's going to change if we redo it? Are you going to open this up to another vendor to come in and look at it? I mean, you put a competitive bid on the table. So somebody else can come in and now they take that bid and take a look at it and say, how can we improve on that? I mean, you give an uncompetitive advantage to the next group. So either we look at these two, and obviously Cynthia's not going to invest in here, so now we're down to one. Now we're kicking that can down the road. It's not a couple weeks. It's the RFP has to go out. It has to come back. It's back and forth. I think since Cynthia has told us that she's not going to invest, there is the protest out there. But I think the decision is the beginning of the process was done properly. The board meeting was not properly notified. So the process was done and gave everybody the opportunity to put in a proposal. So taking that and redoing that, we're gonna do the correct thing the correct way until it becomes to a board meeting again. So really, where is the difference in just not moving ahead with the proposal that we have from Bob and Tiffany, if there's nobody else out there gonna participate? So
I'd like to make a comment. I second that motion because, like Mr. Detman said, he just wanted to clean it up.
Yeah.
And that was what I was looking at. I would like to see it clean. But she says she's not interested no more, so why should we even vote on that?
Well, let me make a comment on that since I made the motion. And I have to ask Ms. Hopkins this. When Ms. Vasquez just came up to the podium, she cleared up something that I wasn't completely 100% aware of, that the posting had to do only with the board meeting, not with the proposal, correct? Ms. Vasquez?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Is that, and you acknowledged it, you were going like
I was
this.
about to say that, and
Okay.
I stated very clearly in my protest. I gave the screenshot.
Okay.
As to what was not posted.
Okay, I wanted to make sure of that because
You're right,
when
sir.
she made that point, you were going like this,
Yes.
as if you were agreeing with her. Considering that, and considering with what the point the mayor just made, I'm going to rescind my motion. And if if Robert's Rules of Order allows me to, I'd like to make a new motion. And there's only one other motion here.
You only get one, no, go ahead.
The second is still out there.
Okay, well, I withdraw my second, and the only reason, I'm gonna say it again, the only reason I seconded that is to get it clean. I was born and raised here, so I'm probably the oldest member of Sebring in this building. I'm 72 years old, and I was born in the city limits of Sebring. My mother was delivered by the same doctor I was. So I have history here, and I want to see Sebring grow, and I'd like to see the people that are here. I just want everything clean for the citizens, and that's what we're here for. Is to make sure your money is spent properly, and it's a hard balance sometimes, very hard balance. So if we've offended anybody, we apologize. But we have to do it right.
I would like to have heard Ms. Hopkins say that they would have been willing to participate if we were to go along with my first motion, but since she made it pretty clear that she has no interest in the city of Sebring, once again, I can make a motion or yield to the council to make that motion.
Well, you can make a motion.
I am withdrawing mine. He just
All right, we
withdrew his.
withdrew the second, we withdrew the motion.
Yep.
I'll
So-
go back to my first motion and make that to deny the protest.
I'll second your
All right, we
your
got
motion.
additional comment. Yeah, we got a motion and a second. I think we have an
Yes, sir.
additional comment. No,
Andy Hammett. This is just a sort of observation. Actually, I'm putting a lot of stuff together. I happen to be a little bit of a pack rat. Keep a lot of papers, stuff like that. And I'd like to see the downtown area looking good and people stay, but people stay for a little while, then they leave. And, you just wonder. It just seems to never get off the ground, does it? It's always just kind of halfway done. We have the Spiegels doing the Christmas in the circle. We have activities here and there, but there's people coming and going all the time, and it makes you wonder. All of a sudden, we have all these different ordinances, these things back to back. Boy, we got the solar panel housing development down in Lake Placid. God knows who's being housed down there, and the gentleman here, the lawyer, brought up the fact, good point, housing. Maybe you should invest in housing
It has to do
to,
with this, agenda item.
get along with the get-alongers.
yeah.
I don't really know, but there's, the little, just a few things to think about. Some people in this room actually read code words, and I'm one of them. And there's just a lot of, as time goes on.
Andy, I hate to interrupt you,
this-
but you need to speak to the
Speak to
motion,
motion,
so
Okay,
please.
really the motion is that I appreciate you getting up here and fighting and working towards, your goals, and you did a really good job. I really appreciate that. There just always tends to be a tumbling effect, and things never seem to be effectively concluded around here. That's my,
Thank you.
that's my comment.
Appreciate it. I got
Clear that
another
up
comment
right
over
now.
here. Got another comment here.
Mr. President, it's okay, real quick?
Yeah,
I
hey.
just point of clarification that Ms. Hopkins has mentioned a couple of times that one proposal included some benefits from tax benefits from or grant benefits from the CRA and gave the impression that hers did not. So I just want to clarify, maybe for the record, the way I understand the CRA proposals is that you put forth a proposal to open up a business. If you stay there for 5 years, there's a forgivable loan for the purchase of the building. Mrs. Hopkins gave the impression that she was actually going to purchase, at least my impression was that she was actually going to pay for the building and wasn't going to take part in that 5-year forgivable loan. As a point of clarification, is that how the two proposals came out? Did she actually offer to buy the building for $400,000? Or was she also going to benefit from the $400,000 forgivable loan? I just want to make sure the press and the record
She's
got
trying to
that.
answer you.
Maybe the CRA can answer that question?
David Liddell, CRA Chair. Yes, each proposal is being offered the building in exchange for them doing the work and putting a business in there and getting it up and running. We have not agreed on any terms as far as how that transfer and transaction looks at this point. We're still working with legal counsel on that.
Okay, thank you.
Hang on.
All right, I think we've worn
Just
this
one
out
second.
pretty good. Yeah, yes.
The funds to do the renovations is what she was talking about.
We're not giving anybody funds for renovations.
Okay, so it's strictly the building, and they're providing their own funds to do the renovation.
Correct.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, I think,
I thought you were doing the lead and asbestos removal.
yeah.
Well, but that's before they get into the building, right?
Correct. That's
Right.
why the CRA owns it. There's some mitigation work that needs to be done as
Right,
far as
prior
asbestos,
to them taking
environmental.
it.
Correct, but that would be done for everybody.
Got
All
it.
right, I'm gonna, we have a motion and a second. I think I'm gonna call.
It's a good idea.
All right.
I'm
Call the
ready.
motion here. We've been through this pretty good.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
Madam
yes.
Clerk.
We're gonna vote on this one?
Huh?
We're gonna vote on this motion?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Carlisle.
I said yes, yes, yes.
Dedman.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for all the input, interest in this, presentations made, and our next order of business is we're going to conduct a public hearing. I have about 6 after 7. We're going to conduct a public hearing on ordinance number 1464, amending section 26-183 to address building design and appearance standards. And we have Ms. Salisbury, Kodo Salisbury here? Yes. Metal buildings.
The purpose of the hearing. Read that.
Hello, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, background, read up here.
Oh, you want me to read it up on the?
Just for the purpose, please.
Okay. All right, the purpose of the public hearing, I didn't do that. The city council is considering ordinance number 1464, if passed, will amend section 26-183 of the city's regulations addressing building design and appearance standards. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive public comments on the proposed ordinance. I think I have that.
Okay, good evening. For the record, Jennifer Kodo Salisbury with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. And as you all know, the Regional Planning Council works in partnership with the city on planning-related items. The item before you tonight is read in the short title, is really an amendment to the city's code of ordinances to address really aesthetic treatments to metal buildings. Today, metal buildings have to be completely covered in the C1 zoning district, which is also in the community redevelopment area. The proposed amendments would provide different levels of treatments based on the location of the building in the city, in the CRA, and also in the zoning district, especially C1 outside of the CRA. There is a table that I handed out which just shows the applicability of the aesthetic treatments to the buildings. And depending on where you're located, if you're in the core of the CRA, then the building has to be completely covered as required today. And then as you get outside the perimeters, you have to cover the building where you have access to main roads and pedestrian ways. And then as you go outside of the CRA and the C1 zoning district, again, treating the building where you have road frontages. And then in the C2, outside of the CRA, the C2 and industrial, no requirements exist. And that is a brief overview. There have been several workshops on this topic. This is first reading. It will be back before you in July.
Okay. Any comments?
This is a wonderful.
Yeah, looks good.
I don't want to call it compromise, compressing all of the information and the verbiage in here, because you could literally go through 3 or 4 pairs of glasses with that. And this one here, I mean, it's right there in front of you. It makes it, and thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
No,
Anywhere in the city.
well, the C2 and the industrial, this would not apply outside of the CRA, and that is true today as well.
Do we have the, can you put those up for the public? Kind of a coverage for the building so they can see?
And there are extra copies on the
Yeah,
table.
there's extra
Yeah,
copies on the
these here.
table for those that
Do we
are,
have a copy of that up there yet?
keep going. Oh,
Yeah, there's copies right there, Ralph.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Just tilt your
Anybody
head,
else want
just
one?
tilt your head a little bit. Yeah, got it.
Members of the press? Okay. Oh, Bob's, okay, it's up there now, except that it's kind of hurt your neck a little bit, but it's up there.
Yeah, you just lay down. Look at it.
Flip it again, one more time, Scott. Can you hit it again? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, who has it, Penny?
Penny's-
Well, that's why you're the finance director and not
she's
charged
a-
of visual
yeah.
arts.
She's the one that's
You're gonna be in charge
hiding
next
all that
time.
money.
Okay, I think people who are interested in seeing the pictorial presentation
Yep,
have
have
picked up.
already have it. Yep.
Picked it up.
Yeah, this makes it real simple, folks. It's just a page and a half.
I have a question, Jennifer. And that on the 2 pages you just gave us, 8 and 9, on the first page, 8, you say 50% coverage on the sides on peripheral of the core area of the CRA. Does that mean within the CRA district? Or peripheral to me always meant on the edges of?
It is.
So there's actually a map, which was the second handout, and it's also in the ordinance.
Uh-huh.
And the area in the green hatch is the core area
Right.
where the building would have to be covered. Anything in the CRA outside of that would be the periphery.
Okay, so, and then what is the difference between that and the outside of historic outside of the CRA on page 9? Where it requires,
So that is for the C1 zoning district
see, this here has that
outside
too.
of the,
this isn't required.
Where it's not just on a thoroughfare or a freeway, but it's also on a corner,
correct.
a side street as well.
Right. So
So
if-
that's just an extension of that. This is for one highway, and then you got
Right, but
the
see here,
side.
this is my question, this one here has the side street, and she's only requiring 50% here.
Right.
The other one is 100%, and that 25%.
And that's only for the peripheral area, though.
Hey, guys.
That's only peripheral area. This one's for C1, as well as this one here.
So the peripheral though, coming back to my question, the peripheral is on the edges of the CRA? I'm just a little confused.
Can you give us an example of where that would be so everyone would understand?
Sure, so, in the table, the first conversation, if you go to the table 1, 2, 3, the fourth column, it's addressing the C1, C2, and light industrial, or I1, in the CRA, except outside of the core. And, that area, if you're on a main road and a public street, you have to cover 100% of the front and 50% of the side. And I understand your question, if you're completely outside of the CRA in the C1, if you have 2 road frontages, you would require 100% coverage of those main road frontages. So that, I think that's probably answering your question. You're probably saying, why is it more stringent outside of the CRA?
Exactly.
I'll go back and check my notes from the workshops. And again, we have 2 public hearings before we come back to you. So I'll
Okay.
double check the decision on that
Yeah.
from the workshops.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay, any questions, council? Any public comments? Hearing none. We'll move on to the next. I'm going to close the public hearing on this. And our next item is the ordinance. We deal with.
Agenda item 10E is ordinance 1464. and it is entitled, "An Ordinance Amending Chapter 26 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sebring regarding certain text established in Article 5, Division 1, Section 26-183, prohibited metal buildings, and Article 6, definitions to address building materials and appearance requirements in the Sebring Community Redevelopment District, CRA District, in the C1, C2, and I1 zoning districts in the CRA District, and in the C1 zoning district outside of the CRA District, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing for conflict, providing for codification, and providing an effective date." This is on your agenda for first reading. There are public hearings rather before the planning and zoning, and again before city council, where you will consider it on second and final, currently scheduled for July 6th.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, go ahead.
I make a motion that we pass ordinance number 1464 on first reading and schedule second and final reading for July 6th, 2021.
Have a second? Who seconded it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Councilman Stewart seconded it. Okay. Any comments from the audience on this? Guess the last one wore you out there. All right. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Detman.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes. All right, next item. Any business from the audience?
No, sir.
None? None, okay. City Attorney's business.
13A is a proposed resolution number 2021-08, and it is the preliminary rate resolution for the fire assessment. You'll see the schedule of various publications and public hearings and approvals, and this is proposed at the 25% level. And you would seek to recover 25% of the maximum amount that could be recovered, or the maximum amount that it takes to fund the services, and the maximum amount that you could otherwise recover under the law.
Any comments from council?
The only comment I want to make is I think that our fire department budget is going up a little bit, as is everything else. We have just recently purchased a fire truck. We're going to need another fire truck in the very near future. And to me, this is a much more equitable way to distribute the tax burden for everyone. If it's just done under ad valorem, some people don't pay anything. So I think it's a much more equitable way, and so increasing this particular budget up a little bit. And the assessments, it still leaves a residential rate at $101 per year, and I think that's a reasonable amount. I believe the county and most other places around are a little bit higher than that.
Yep. I make a motion, we approve the preliminary assessment resolution number 2021-08 at a 25% level as presented.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any comments from the audience? All right, seeing none, call the question.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Detman.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes. All right, next item, city administrator business.
Thank you, Mr. Swain, for covering 13A.
13B.
He called on me.
13B is a proposed interlocal agreement between Highlands County and the City of Sebring for removal of emergency disaster debris. For example, after hurricanes, if you will. Attached is an interlocal that would provide for the city, for the county to pick up debris within the city limits as well. And the city would be responsible for reimbursing the county for anything that it wasn't reimbursed by FEMA and or the state.
The question for Mr. Nadlick, is this mirror image of the last interlocal agreement we have with Highlands County for the hurricane in 2017?
We didn't have an interlocal agreement. We did that by agreement, but we didn't have an interlocal agreement in place.
But it worked exactly like this
Correct.
this document would work.
Actually, for Irma, for Irma, they picked up everything.
Right.
For prior hurricanes previous to that,
Right.
the city picked it up and or hired a contractor to pick it up.
In '04 and '05.
So '04 and '05.
Right.
I think maybe again '06, '07 timeframe as well. So we had 3, maybe 4 hurricanes, where the city has picked it up, at its own cost, which we got reimbursed for a percentage of from FEMA. So let's just say FEMA comes out and says typically they'll reimburse you 75% of your costs. And then either at the federal level or the state level, they tack on some additional reimbursements. So for 1 or 2 of those hurricanes, if I remember correctly, we were in the 90 to 92% reimbursement level. And so for all of our costs associated with debris removal, we were reimbursed at that percentage for that respective storm, if you will. I've also placed before you something that Lake Placid passed before, last night at their meeting. They are looking for the county to operate like they did in Irma and pick up all the costs of debris removal. And they did do that in Irma, and we had to do that, I'm gonna say at the last minute, because we did not have a debris contractor in place, and FEMA requires that you have a debris contractor in place in order to get reimbursed.
Doesn't FEMA now require that the county have an interlocal so we can get reimbursed, or they can get reimbursed for what they pick up on us? Or if we don't,
You can have an interlocal.
if we don't have an interlocal, then we're on our own.
Correct.
And then we pay, do we get reimbursed from FEMA? That wasn't quite clear. I mean, but we have to do all the accounting and everything.
Correct.
And then we have to, do we have to RFP for the debris removal person?
We have
And
to-
a monitor.
And monitor.
And the monitor, which could take
Money and time.
forever.
And we're already in
Yeah,
hurricane
and there's some
season.
economies of scale in this as well. Of
Right.
course, If you've got one debris contractor in the entire county picking up,
This is totally different than what we've done in the past, so.
so, other than Irma.
Right, other than Irma.
Yes.
But Irma, we didn't have to do that. It was an automatic deal, pretty much.
And for Irma, some members from the Lake Placid contingent successfully argued to the county that as we are all county residents, the county ought to pick up the
Double
tab.
taxation.
They do not care to do that again, as you know.
This, I have I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
On the
This-
invoicing and payment, now, when we spoke to the county, there was a percentage that they were gonna invoice us for the unreimbursed portion.
But they were initially throwing out a 25%
Correct.
percentage. The way I'm understanding this agreement is they are gonna pay all the costs
Correct.
and
Gonna
we'll
bill
be
us for
responsible
for our unreimbursed
the
portion,
unreimbursed that's within the incorporated area of the city.
which is, they estimated to be in Irma about 150,000 total.
And I wouldn't even begin to guess.
That's,
Second
that's.
guess their numbers.
Right, I think I would like that kind of clarification to make sure what that is. 'Cause it started off as 25% of our unreimbursed portion, from what I understood.
Yeah, and to be quite frank, I think that original agreement was pretty unclear, so I.
It was very unclear, so that's why if we can clear some of this up, and, but also in the other question that I had, which I think was supposed to have been cleared up also, was under page 3, or page 2, 3AI, it says the city will not conduct emergency debris removal activities in the area of the city where it's requested the county perform services. What the difference is, what Lake Placid put in there is kind of what we talked about, to make it clear that we can go out and if it's an emergency type situation, is to clear some of that area.
So typically, and I would agree with what Lake Placid put in their document.
Correct.
Because that is much clearer. But the first push, they call it the first push, the first 24 hours is just getting debris out of the road.
Right.
We can get reimbursed for that push. We're involved in that push, if you will.
Correct.
And typically,
But I think what the one Lake Placid is more of what we had talked about in that meeting that we had.
right, and they put language in their document that would clarify that first 24 hours or that first push. And then, they put some additional language in there that would say if they chose to clear some additional debris, they would not expect the county to try to seek reimbursement for that. They would do that on their own.
The county wouldn't,
Right.
doesn't have to go seek their reimbursement for them.
Correct, which I think is probably what we should have in our document too. I mean, it's a much clearer
And-
position.
And if you all recall, this is for residential. They don't, FEMA does not reimburse you, if you will, for commercial. And in Irma, or after Irma, we did do a little bit of commercial pickup, if you'll recall. And took that to our own landfill. We didn't get reimbursed for that.
I agree with
That
what,
was the decision you all
We
made.
clean that up a little bit and bring it back.
I think, I think what would really, because we have an agreement through September, correct, under the old agreement? Is that what it was? The one that we signed last year?
We don't have one.
Through May 31st.
I thought it,
So
for
it's
some reason
over.
I thought it went.
It's up? So we have no agreement now.
Right.
Right, so I think, I mean, we can get this cleaned up, and I'd like, I mean, personally, I like, it's up to y'all though.
But why don't we clean it up, bring
but-
it back the first meeting in July?
But I think what the county would like to hear is that we agree in concept to what they're asking for.
Right.
I would like to make a comment in that regard too, though. 'Cause I think we're gonna run into a problem here. If Lake Placid has already said they're not going to augment that, we augment it. And then Avon Park says, hey, we're not gonna do that. We got 3 different cities, you know, with different arrangements with the county. So I'm not sure that we should do something substantially different than what Lake Placid gets from the county. Why do we have to pay, as the city of Sebring, that unfunded portion of it that FEMA doesn't and Lake Placid doesn't have to? They're gonna do more for Lake Placid than for us, according to that contract Lake Placid has asked for.
But
If they're gonna do it for Lake Placid, if the county's gonna do it for Lake Placid and pick up 100% of the cost, and we don't know if they are or not, that's what Lake Placid has said. But we need to see if they're gonna do it for Lake Placid. If they're gonna do it for Lake Placid, they need to do it for Sebring.
We know where Avon Park is on this issue?
No.
Don't know.
They're waiting on our response.
Well, this is well, this is not the height of the hurricane season, so even if it takes a couple
Another
of
month,
weeks to
yeah.
get that ironed out, I think we're,
I think from what the county says is if they're gonna stick to double taxation and all this other issues, that they just won't sign the interlocal. And so you're on your own anyway.
And they may do that, but again, if they do that.
And maybe we frame it to the point to say, listen, we're willing to abide by this unless you have a different arrangement, an improved arrangement in another municipality, then we'll fall under that
That's how we should.
That would
Yeah.
be-
let's iron this out a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't wanna be in a position where we're having to hire a debris contractor at this point in time.
Yep.
And just keep in mind, if we hire the debris contractor, all those administrative costs and everything like that.
Oh.
are on
Or
us.
us, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
This provides for them.
We've
to
been down
cover
that
those
road before.
administrative costs.
Well, if we can include that in this, to where that if any other city gets a better deal, that we also fall under that, I'm for it. But I don't
Good way
want
to
them to
put
get a
it.
better deal than what we got.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's your consensus that you'd like me to pass back?
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe so. 'Cause this is-
Back to the drawing board.
You got that, right?
We don't do that to you very often, Scott, so just get over it.
We
You
can get a
had,
better
Scott,
deal.
did you have another?
So, I also put a routing and transmittal slip in front of you all in reference to, the conversation about structures on the other side of the lake. Greg and I have discussed this, we believe that this would be best discussed, and I know you may not like this, but in a workshop, because there's so many variables involved in doing this. And we can't, it's difficult to just implement this without looking at, you know, how this may or may not impact the rest of the city, whether or not we can, you know, I'm gonna say carve this portion out. But there's just a lot of items to look at. There's setback issues. You know, do you consider this their front yard? Well, right now, you can't build an accessory structure in your front yard.
Right.
Anywhere in the city, unless you own 2 acres or greater. So there's a lot of items I think we need to discuss in order for us to move forward with, you know, drafting or changing our code or ordinances to provide for that.
Well, I agree with you, but we should do it quickly. So let's set a meeting up, a workshop up, quick.
Good point.
I'll reach back out, I'll coordinate with Greg, reach back out to you, and see if we can set that up. Are you all, would all of you be here sometime next week? Is everybody gonna be here next week?
Absolutely.
Yeah, think so?
And
As it stands right now.
And the reason I ask is I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks, starting on the 26th.
What?
You actually have vacation in your contract, or what?
Is it possible we could do 2 items in this workshop and get the debris thing as well as the?
Can't
I mean, I think the
Put
debris
two-
item,
That should be
I mean,
pretty
because
easy.
it's a workshop, I think the debris item, could come back at your July 6th meeting for.
Okay, so we don't need to meet on that at all?
As long as
Okay.
it's in before August.
Or September?
Before the storms.
I'm
Okay.
comfortable with July
Or
6th,
October.
if county will take action between now and then on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
I do have one question on the structures across from the lake, and I want to ask Bob is, can you just carve out one little section like that? And I know in zones like the CRA zone, you can, in the historic zone, but just isolate one area of the city and say, this is separate from everything else. We want to make separate regulations for you guys, because I don't know that we have that for any other areas, any other lakes around, or any other structures even on this lake. It's just that, whatever, I'm gonna guess 50 houses that you're carving out these ordinances and say you can't do this, or you can only do this.
Are
Is
you
that
asking if we
legal?
can make a change today to allow, or? are you
Well,
asking
I mean,
should we have done it
to me,
before?
it's isolating one little area and say, we're gonna pick on you guys, for whatever reason. We're gonna just make you guys go with this ordinance, but we're not gonna make everybody else. It's not a special district like the CRA.
Let me answer, well, I think that the question is, should they have done it back when? To
Okay.
prohibit the structures as they did.
Right.
And I think the rationale, at least what we can find, is that it was for aesthetics reasons, and I think that is something that council can make ordinances based on, that the view from the road was important, or at least that's what they thought. I think there is a way to change the zoning applicable to waterfront properties that allow for structures like these. Now, it would allow for all waterfront properties, including Lake Charlotte and some of the Denner Lake. There's a portion, so it would apply to other, not just the west side of the Lake Jackson, but to other waterfront properties. But part of thinking through this is, how do you make what seems to be a reasonable change to allow things like gazebos without creating all sort of unintended consequences elsewhere? That was a really long answer to that. What you were looking for?
Well,
Yes, maybe is what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it seems to me that this one little area got quote unquote picked on, if you will, because people wanted to see that lake view. And
It's
there's
so
other.
unique, though. It's so unique with the road going through the lot.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think
it's
we're the
so-
only
it's-
ones that are.
It's out of the ordinary.
It is, I understand that, but I'm just saying, because you can then pick on a different part of the city for some other little ordinance, because whatever that might be.
But I don't think there's any other place in the city that I can think of where you own both sides of the road that's on a lake, excuse me.
Yeah.
I think
So
that's the
it
only
is
area.
unique. It is unique.
Denner Lake.
that much smaller little,
Little places.
That
Swallow
are
a little
across,
strip.
that are
Yes, sir.
across the street?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
you
but
own
it's
property there?
was it 2 or 3
You
blocks?
would be hard pressed to find a gazebo small enough to put on.
Yes, I was, yeah.
Phone booth, maybe.
True. True.
So the long and the short answer is, you feel comfortable that that's something that somebody can't sue the city for and come back and say you're discriminating against me for this particular reason, even though I'm not in a special zone?
The argument would be that it would be a taking, but they have the economic use of the balance of the property. If you said you can't build on any property that abuts water, and prohibited building on the other side of the lake as well, that would be a problem.
Well, it's all about property values. That's what the whole thought is.
So we'll
For
wait.
homeowners, it should be.
Really? We, I think, agreed there's gonna be a workshop, you'll let us know.
Yeah,
And we
no,
have
you gotta pay the
the
bills first.
clerk.
Council needs to approve the paying of bills.
I'm glad you guys are watching me, I need it a lot of times.
So moved.
Thank you.
I am ready.
Second.
So moved.
No,
Second.
you
Already
got
so
second.
moved.
You so moved it.
Okay, you got it?
I got it.
All right, call the roll.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Detman.
Yeah.
Lorenz.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Heidi.
Yes.
For the,
All right.
Just one last comment.
what do you do with it?
I am very impressed with
I
our
have that-
audience
that's
tonight
my
being here
meeting
and
for
participating. I really wish we could
17th,
at least
that's the
bring
interim.
another neighbor or two every time we have a
That's
city
the-
council meeting so that
the
you
town
hear
proposal,
what we do up here all the time, and I think that's very important.